All right. Hello, everyone. And thank you for joining the How Uber for Business Supports the Whole Business Travel Journey webinar. As we wait for a few people to join and more attendees to sign in, I thought it would be a good idea to do a little bit of an icebreaker to get to know one of our speakers. So Garrett, I would love to know, where is your dream travel destination?
Hey everybody, I'm Garrett Weiss. I'm a product manager here at Uber and on our Uber for Business team. My dream vacation would be, or at least travel destination, would be going hiking in Patagonia. I've always wanted to do that, but I'm always off on the season of when we get summer and when it's summer in Patagonia. So I haven't been able to do it, and it's top of my list.
Wow, that sounds great. And I too would love to do that. Although not much of a hiker, but I think I could enjoy the views.
Take pictures at least.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive into what we're going to cover in this webinar today. So we're going to go into how Uber for Business enhances travel before, during, and after a business trip for both the travel manager and the employee. We'll show you what it looks like to set up controls in a travel program and how you can gain insights into that usage. And then lastly, we'll talk about some of the unique employee benefits for business travelers when they use Uber for Business. I also want to point out that if you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box on the left hand of the screen. We'll close out our session with the Q&A. So just make sure you leave it in there throughout the session, and we'll get to it at the end. And if we don't get to your question at the end, our team will follow up via email. All right. So we heard a little bit from Garrett already. He's a senior product manager, and he'll be taking us through how to set up a travel program and take us through the insights that are available on the dashboard. And I'm Madelyn O'Hare. I'm a product marketing manager here at Uber for Business. All right, now that we've got all of our intros and agenda out of the way, let's dive in. All right, so you may be wondering, what is Uber for Business? So Uber for Business was founded in 2016 and is a platform for managing global rides, meals, and local deliveries for companies of any size. We have more than 170,000 customers, including more than 60% of the Fortune 500. We found that teams are using Uber for Business to work more efficiently and feel more in control when setting up programs around business travel, customers, incentives, employee perks, and so much more. Okay, so we'll go into some of the pre-trip. So in the first section, we'll cover the benefits of a travel program and manage ground transportation. And then, as I mentioned, Garrett will take us into how you would set up a travel program and get your employees onboarded and using Uber for Business. Okay, so Uber for Business gives employees the flexibility to get where they need to go in more than 10,000 cities, while also allowing you to adhere to your travel policies. So Uber is globally consistent, so your users will have a similar experience no matter where their work takes them. It allows you to implement custom controls, so you can implement your travel policy with the option to set restrictions on location, spend, time. You can add and remove employees as needed. And then there's a variety of ride options. So Uber gives your employees tons of options while they're on the road to choose from, whether they need to suit their budget. So we have economy ride options such as UberX and Uber Comfort to suit their comfort needs. So Uber Comfort is also there as well, but you can select Uber Black if you want a more premium experience. And then we also have options to meet your sustainability goals. So we have rides such as Uber Green and Comfort Electric. So your employees can take a low and no emissions ride and help your company reduce their carbon footprint. We also, they can enjoy automated expensing. We offer expense integrations that help your employees save time with receipt forwarding, help lessen the hassle of that post-trip expenses. So no more screenshotting and uploading. They can simply forward their receipts straight to their expense program. We also have enhanced duty of care. So Uber for Business provides real-time visibility and integrations with international SOS and Concur Locate to help you monitor company trips and keep your employees safe. That was a mouthful, but you'll be able to see how exactly you can implement these custom controls. I'll hand it over to Garrett to give a demo on how you would actually set up a travel program.
Thanks, Madelyn. I'm going to show a live demo here of a demo account that we have here for Uber for Business. When you go to the Uber for Business dashboard, the first thing you'll see is your activity of all of your employees across all of the different program types that they might have with Uber for Business. You can see your trip details and meal orders, for example. You'll see the different types of programs that are offered through Uber for Business up here in the top left. Travel programs, meal programs, vouchers, and arranging for rides for employees through the central booking. I'm going to show you how to set up a travel program here first. You'll select travel program, and then you'll be able to see manage programs or create new program. We'll go ahead and create new program. As you can see, there's lots of different program types that can be created here. For today, we'll just stick with the business travel program. The first thing you'll be able to do is enter different program information. So you can name this program however you'd like and add a description that will be shared. We'll skip the selection of groups for right now because we'll do that more when we're adding people in a bit. And right now we'll focus on the different types of rules that can be added to your program. So first, we have expense codes. If you have an expense code that you want your employees to type in when checking out and booking a ride, you can select that here and you can enter in a custom code. Next is a spending allowance, which is how much of the bill you or your employee should be spending per trip, you as the organization. So you can limit it by an amount off the trip fare, a percentage off the trip fare, or providing coverage after the employee pays a set amount. And you'll be able to configure that all here, either per trip, per day, or per month. Next is the trip allowance, which is similar to the spending allowance, but this is the actual number of trips that an employee can take. And it can either be limited per day or per month. The location limitation is where do you want your travel program to actually take effect? So you could say, for instance, your office to the office, between the office and maybe another office, an airport, from permitted location and to and from the permitted locations. This is totally configurable by you, and you'll use the add location to select these. The time of the day would be when does your travel program take effect? And if you wanted, for instance, it to be a commute program, you could select weekdays. But as you would imagine, you can select any custom time. And lastly, the ride types, if there's different types of vehicles that you as an organization would like your employees to take. So now let's go to the people tab, where I'll show you how to actually add people to your programs. There's a few different ways. But the first way is by selecting add, and you can either select a group that's already been created or create a new group. And this allows you to add rules and specific program rules to a particular set of employees at your company. You can also use the bulk add feature up here in the top on the right side. And this allows you to either use a CSV or paste a list of emails, names, and phone numbers. When you add a phone number, it's a much better experience for the employee, and it makes a better program for you as an organization. Now that we're back in the presentation, we'll see the onboarding process for what it will look like for your employees themselves. They'll first get an invite to their business email, and from there they can click to activate their account. If the mobile number was added in that last screen that I showed you, they'll have the ability to link their personal account, and they can have their business profile set up in just a few clicks. This is the easiest path forward for them. Once they're all set up, they'll be able to request rides on their business profile by simply toggling before they choose their ride between personal and business, as you can see on the right side here. Prior to a trip, employees also have the ability to reserve rides in advance. This is part of the trip planning process, so they can ensure that they have a trip to the airport or to an important meeting. It's an extremely reliable product and something that is intended to be stress-free. They'll be given a 15-minute set of wait time. They'll know the cost beforehand, so they'll know exactly if it's in policy in the policies that we just showed you how to set up. And they'll be able to select from the different ride options that we have here at Uber.
Thank you, Garrett. So I'll go into the options that your employees will have while they're on the road with both ride and meal options. So Garrett had just touched on reserve. And like he said, it's a great option for employees to plan ahead and add this straight to their travel itinerary. You can really take the stress out of a business trip when you travel ahead or when you plan ahead. So this is a highly recommended for business travel, especially those who tend to get a bit stressed when they know that they have to travel for work. I also mentioned before that there's a variety of ride options. So you can choose from ride options that suit your budget, comfort, and sustainability goals. So you're giving your employees the ability to choose while also being able to see the prices ahead of time so that they can stay within their budget and policy. Speaking of choices, Uber for Business is not only about transportation, you can also make sure that your employees are staying well fed on the road. With meal delivery options from over 750,000 restaurant partners and the ability to group order, you can eat like a local while you're on the road and traveling for work. So as we know, travel has changed dramatically over the last 2 years, and business travel is absolutely no exception to this. We may never return to normal, but it seems like employees are returning to better and more intentional travel. Over the last few years, over the last few months, actually, we've seen conferences shift from virtual to in-person, and people are getting back out there and networking and attending these in-person conferences and events. So getting back out there means you're going to have to reserve or you're going to have to go to an airport or get to the conference somehow. So reserving a ride is one of the best options to do. You can also arrive in style by choosing an Uber Black. And if you're tired of conference food, you don't want to attend another client dinner, you can easily order meal delivery to your hotel room and just eat straight in your hotel room, not have to worry about making a reservation or going to pick up food. That's a great option. We're also seeing that with a lot of the hybrid work and remote work, that teams are looking for opportunities to meet on site and have planning sessions or summits. So a great way for you to use Uber for Business during these times is finding a ride to the office. If you're having to travel, if your office may not be in your home city, maybe you're going to an airport and having to travel to your office from the airport. Also, you can build team morale by ordering a group lunch. One other way we're seeing our customers use Uber for Business is customer meetings. We're seeing people really want to form those relationships again with their customers, and face-to-face is one of the best ways to do it. And what better way to form those relationships than treating your customer to a lunch? And you can easily do so with Uber Eats. You can also, if you have some last minute meeting notes to get done before the meeting, you can take an Uber Comfort and work on your way with plenty of leg room. And then you can also use Reserve. So Reserve isn't just for airports, you can use it for a meeting. So if you have another meeting across town, you can reserve a ride and make sure that it'll be there when your meeting ends. And if the meeting runs over a few minutes, you don't need to stress because the ride will be waiting there for up to 15 minutes. All right, we went over some of that, how your employees will use it on the road, but we want to also show you how you're going to use this once the trip is all said and done. So the fun part of monitoring activity, billing, expensing, and then I'll go over some of the employee rewards as well. All right, Garrett, take it away.
Thanks, Madelyn. And as Madelyn said, this is the fun part. So as an organization, we know that you need to be able to see the reporting summaries for your employees' activities, as well as be interested in the carbon emissions resulting from the trips that are taken on the business profiles. So here on the Insights tab, you'll be able to see general insights such as the overview of spend for your business, completed requests, active users, and average spend per completed request. This allows you to monitor costs and optimize the programs for your particular organization. In addition to monitoring activity, you can also see sustainability metrics. Sustainability metrics allows you to view the carbon impact of your company's ground transportation. You can view a percentage of low emission trips, total carbon emissions, and average CO2 spend per mile. Uber for Business is proud to be a sustainability partner and help you on this journey to a more sustainable future.
Thanks, Garrett. Yeah, so as we mentioned before with automated expensing and simplified billing, so Uber offers flexible billing that lets you choose whether you want to pay per trip or opt into monthly billing with either a centralized payment method, or your employees can each upload their or add their employee corporate card to their account and have billing set up that way as well. This simplified expensing is one of our customers' favorite features. It allows you for no stress after your trip. You can all of your trips that have been taken or your rides that have been taken will be forwarded directly to your expense provider when you set up your expense integration through Uber for Business, offering them a nice, easy way to roll back into the normal 9 to 5 from their business trip. Some of the integrated systems that I was referring to, so SAP Concur and Chrome River are some of the expense providers that we integrate with. We also have an integration with Deem that will be going live within the new year, which would allow you to reserve rides directly through the Etta app. So we mentioned reserve with planning ahead and making sure that you are having a stress-free experience. You'll be able to add in your Etta app, you'll be able to seamlessly reserve a ride through Uber for Business. Okay, so now for the fun part of what's in it for your employees, besides the easy onboarding and the even easier expensing. Your employees, how are we going to get your employees excited about using Uber for Business? So one of these is if you are an American Express corporate card member, your employees can earn cash on eligible business rides and orders with Uber and Uber Eats. Uber Cash will be received on business orders and you can use it towards personal purchases. So if your employees are taking a ride for a business trip, they'll get Uber Cash and then they can use it towards their next meal or their night out. If they need a ride, they can use it towards that as well. To access this benefit, they just simply need to set up their business profile, add their American Express card as the default payment method, and then they can enroll right from there on the app. Employees can also earn up to 6 times the points on Marriott Bonvoy to use towards their next vacation. So with over 30 brands across the globe, the options are endless. So we've seen this as a very popular perk for business travelers. They're earning points on their rides, and then they can use it towards any sort of personal vacation going forward. All right, I want to wrap things up before we go into the Q&A portion. So we saw how you use the dashboard in action, how you can implement controls, and how simple it is to get your employees started on Uber for Business. We went over the options that your employees can leverage on the road for meals and travel, and then how easily you can monitor your activity budget and your carbon footprint with Uber for Business. And also touched on some of the perks that your employees can get excited about when they become Uber for Business users. All right, let's see what the questions are. So first question, my employees already use Uber to travel. What's the difference between Uber and Uber for Business? That is a great question, and one I personally receive a lot as being, whenever I say I work for Uber, but specifically Uber for Business, everyone asks me, what is that? So most simply stated is you and your employees are not getting the most out of the platform when you're using Uber for business travel, but not using Uber for Business. So Uber for Business will allow you to manage your global ground travel. And when you work with our team, you can control your costs by setting guardrails. You'll get real-time visibility into your employee usage, as we saw with Garrett showing us how you can monitor that activity. So you can stay better compliant and make sure you have duty of care for your employees. And if your employees are already using Uber, it's going to be really easy to get them started on Uber for Business. They're using the same app that they already know and trust. And now they'll have effortless expensing and 24/7 white glove service, and not to mention some of those perks that we mentioned. So when you're using Uber for Business, you really are getting the most out of your business travel experience. So that's why that's the difference between it. And that's why we highly suggest that that's what you go for, especially if your employees are already using Uber when they travel. So, okay, let's move on to question the next question, how does sustainability reporting work? That's a great question. So any trip that's taken on an Uber for Business profile, so Garrett before had shown that toggle. So once your employee has set up their Uber for Business account, they switch over to that toggle and they order a ride, or they request a ride. Any ride that will be associated with that will be calculated into the dashboard. So it'll show the total CO2 emissions, be part of the calculation of average CO2 per mile. And it'll also show if it was a low emissions trip. So if your employee opted for a green trip, which is great, we want them to choose sustainable options, it'll show up in the dashboard as that they're a percentage of low emissions trips that have been taken and the number of total low emissions trips that have been taken. So like I mentioned, with an Uber Green or a Comfort Electric, that'll attribute to that number and will help lessen your carbon footprint. All right, next question. What do you mean when you say Uber for Business can help create benefits programs for your employees? That's a great question. So we mostly cover travel, but Uber for Business is much more than just travel. So you can provide your teams with perks through Uber for Business, like distributing vouchers for meals. You can provide commute options and meal programs, something like a daily lunch for employees. You can set that program up. And then also gift cards. Gift cards are a great way to show employee appreciation. I'm also happy to follow up with more details afterwards. So I can give you the extensive list of options that you can leverage through Uber for Business. All right, a few more questions coming in. Are there any costs associated with getting started for Uber for Business? No, there are no fees associated with getting started for Uber for Business, which makes it a total no-brainer. You will only be charged for the meals and trips that your teams request. So you get all of the controls, the support, the reporting, the sustainability reporting, all of that is included. All you need to do is simply sign up. All right. Can you invoice the company or do you require a credit card payment? Garrett, do you mind taking this one?
Yeah, no, definitely. So credit card is often used as the payment method, but there are other billing options, and we can do bank transfers. We also have different payment schedules, so you can either pay per trip, or we can do monthly billing if that's required by your organization.
Awesome, thank you. All right, I'm an American Express corporate card member. How do I enroll in the cash benefit? Okay, that's great. So you're already halfway there. So you just have to make sure that you have the Uber or your employees have to make sure that they have the Uber and Uber Eats app downloaded, and then they can create a business profile or set up their business profile once you've invited them to the account. Once they add in the American Express card as their default payment method, be a few pop-up screens that'll appear to help them enroll, and then they can start taking rides on their business profile and earning cash to use towards their next personal ride or meal. All right, I don't see any more questions, so I think we can wrap it up. I want to thank you all for joining, and to learn more about Uber for Business, please visit uber.com/business or contact our team at business.uber.com/contact-representative for a custom demo. So you can see this all live once again and really go through the nitty-gritty of it all. But again, thank you for joining, and we appreciate your interest in Uber for Business. Bye.
Thank you.